Hello everybody, welcome to Life in France. Life in France versus life in the UK. I'm Mark, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel and don't forget hit the red button so you don't miss any future releases. In today's video, I'm going to talk about how to register a newly purchased car in France. How to get what's known as a carte grise. It's basically your logbook. And I'm going to go through the process of how to register a car in your name. I've now gone through the process of registering cars 3 times now. The first 2 cars were UK cars that I brought over with me to France after buying them in the UK, and I'll go through the process of registering a UK car in France. And the final one, I've just purchased a second-hand car in France and registered that. And you'll see through this episode of Life in France that initially it was a real carry-on. Things kept going wrong and it was a real palaver actually getting the car registered. And through the process, the last 3 times, it's got easier and easier. So I'll start off with the worst case scenario and then we'll get on to, which took 10 minutes, the final way to get a carte grise. Okay guys, my new life in France started in 2006 and I already owned a British car. It was a Honda CR-V. So I brought that over with me. I got the car insured with my AXA chap, and he said to me I needed to get the car registered with a French number plate within 12 months of arriving in France. So I started the process, and the first thing you need to do is to make sure that you have headlights suitable for driving in France. So firstly, I couldn't find anywhere close, so I had to go to Lorient for the nearest Honda dealer. My French wasn't strong, so I prefer to go in person rather than try the phone because I can get myself understood a lot easier. So I've driven to Lorient, which is an hour round trip, and turned up, made a booking. They didn't have the headlights in at the time, so basically I had to make an appointment to go back to get these headlights fitted. So a week later, I went back to the Honda dealer, got the new headlights fitted, €500, could you believe? So that's the first job done. I then was told by my AXA guy that I had to make sure and get a certificate to prove that the car wasn't what's known as bought on the grey market, that there wasn't any tax to be paid. And he gave me the name of the office in Lorient again for me to go and get a certificate rubber stamped to say that there was no tax to pay on the car. So he gave me the address and went off to Lorient. The office was closed. They'd moved offices. So I tried to establish where this new place was. Took me a couple of hours to find it in the end because Lorient's quite a big city. Got there and took about half an hour. They went through all the registries and they confirmed that there was no tax to pay. So they gave me a certificate to say that there was no tax to pay. The next stage was to go to get an MOT for the car, a control technique. Now, like when you're buying new cars, you know, until you actually decide in your head what particular car you're looking to buy, you don't see those cars on the road that much. But as soon as you focus your mind on a particular make of car, you see them everywhere. And it was the same with these control technique garages because I had never seen one before. But while driving to Lorient, I did see a control technique garage. And in actual fact, they're all over the place now. But at the time, because it was the first thing for me to do, I wasn't really aware of them. So I've gone to the control technique and again, I've had to make an appointment for my car to have its French MOT. Went back a few days later. And one of the questions that the guy asked me was, where's the English MOT? And I thought, well, I haven't brought it with me. Why do you need it? You don't recognise the British MOTs. That's the whole point of me getting a French MOT. And he wouldn't do the control technique unless I had my English MOT paperwork. So I had to go make another appointment. So again, driven back to Lorient, this is now the 3rd trip, got the MOT done, got all my paperwork with me, and I thought I'd go to the Prefecture, which is the next stage, to get your carte grise. Managed to find that, got there 4:05, they shut at 4 o'clock. So, Following day, fourth trip back to Lorient now, I go to the Prefectures in Lorient. Wait half an hour before I'm seen, only to be told, once I show them all the documents, oh, you shouldn't be at Lorient, you should have to go to Pontivy, to the Prefecture there. So, 5 trips now to Lorient, I've now got to go to Pontivy. And basically I went to Pontivy, got all the paperwork with me, and they actually did it all for me. I think it cost about €190 to get the carte grise, and that came in the post a few days later. So that was the first instance of registering a car. Okay guys, for the second car, again that was a British car. I bought it in England, and rather than buying headlights in France, the garage that I bought the car from, I bought the headlights there and got them to fit it. And it was actually £320. So a lot cheaper than €500, which I paid for the previous car in France. So I brought the car over to France, found a local garage that could do the control technique, so the car passed the French MOT. The next thing that we had to do was we had to get a certificate of conformity. And that basically checked that it wasn't a grey market car as well, and I had to send off some paperwork to that. That was all done online, and I think that was about €180. And then they sent me back this certificate of conformity. So now I've got my control technique, certificate of conformity, plus obviously my registration documents that are English at the moment. And now it's all done online for this second car, and I've heard that it's not that easy. And a lot of French struggle with this online application process, but the Prefectures will still aid people if requested. So I went to the Prefecture back up in Pontivy, saw a young girl there, and she started the process of putting my information on the system. And then she said, well, where's your proof of address? Where's your passport? I'm thinking, hang on a minute, that wasn't requested. So I had to make another appointment. Gone back home, following day, gone back to Pontivy. The person who helped me the day before is no longer there, and no one can assist me. So I have to make another appointment, a third appointment. So go back next week, and this girl was still not there, and it actually ended up being the prefecture, the judge. She actually helped me. She actually sat down and used her own login details and went through the application for me. And I gave all the paperwork. I had to pay a fee of €190, and it was all done and dusted. And I got a new carte grise within a few weeks. 2 weeks ago, I bought a French car, and I'll go through the process of buying a French car. One thing, you get loads of paperwork. You get the registration document, the carte grise. You also get a certificate de cessation, which is basically who the previous owner was, and it's just confirmation that there's the transfer been made. On the carte grise, they strike across it, sold, vendu, and they sign it and put the date and ideally the time on there as well. What else do we get? We got a declaration of purchase by a professional acquirer, because it was a garage that I bought the car from. So he's given me that as well. I've also got a full facture, giving a breakdown of what I paid for the car, and I've signed that. And when buying a second-hand car, it's imperative that you have a control technique that's not more than 6 months old. Otherwise it can cause huge problems with you registering a car. So whenever you do buy a French car, make sure the control technique is not longer than 6 months ago. This one was only a month prior, so it's all nice and done. And I've got 4 weeks to register the car and get a new carte grise through the system. You can also get a certificate of administration when buying a second-hand car. It's not formally given to you, but you can request it. And what this does, this certificate, they go online, punch in all the details of the car, and it tells you whether the car's been in an accident or whether there's any loans secured on the car. Because what happens in the UK in a lot of cases is someone buys a second-hand car off of an individual, and then a month later they realise that individual wasn't legally able to sell you that car because there was car finance and they defaulted on the finance and it actually belonged to the finance company. You end up losing your money plus the car. So this certificate administration helps prevent that. You're covered for 2 months so that it secures you in the knowledge that there's no loan secured on your car. And also, it also tells you whether there's any speeding fines on that car. Because obviously you don't want a situation where you change the ownership of that car and then the prefecturers come after you for unpaid parking or speeding fines. So the certificate of administration is a very good idea to get because it covers you for the loans and for any criminal offences located on that car. Now, why I said registering the car was so much easier the 3rd time round was because I got an email when I contacted my AXA guy to get the new car insured. Within the email there was a little sort of header, we can sort out your carte grise within 10 minutes. So I thought, right, I'll take him up on the offer. So I didn't even make an appointment. I just went to my AXA, local AXA office, had all my paperwork and just said to the lady, you know, I'm here to get a carte grise. She said, yeah, certainly. She went off and got a little iPad. She took photocopies of all my documentation, asked me to pay at the end. It came to €212, and that was done. Within 10 minutes, she had gone online and registered my application for a new carte grise. I did get a couple of emails afterwards asking me to send a few more documents to them, but it was very simple, and I've got then confirmation that all the documents have been received, everything's green, and I'll be getting my new carte grise in the next couple of days. How simple was that? No trips back and forth to Lorient or Pontivy. You know, my local AXA, 10 minutes away, and I was in there for 10 minutes, all done. Brilliant service. So my recommendation, if you're looking to get a car registered in France, see if your insurance company offers the service of the application to get a new carte grise, because it saves you so much fuss and so much trouble. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed this short video on how to register a car in your name, how to obtain a carte grise. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel and don't forget, hit the red button so you don't miss any future releases. Take care everybody, see you again soon. Bye bye.